$500 PC versus $2,000 MacBook Pro. That video is coming up right now. Let's go. What is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to the $500 PC versus the couple $1,000 MacBook Pro review. Now, the reason I'm making this review is to help those of you out who might be in the market for a PC laptop or a MacBook, and you really want to know from a first-hand experience what it is like to use a cheaper PC with really great specs versus a MacBook Pro, which offers similarly great specs, but it does come in at a higher price point. Now, there's no way, shape, or form am I trying to say that these two specific laptops are, exactly comparable, but these are the two laptops that I've been using to edit videos for a long time now. And the Acer, I actually updated to this MacBook Pro 15 because the Acer was crashing on me. But that's not to say that this is not a great laptop. It still is. It rarely ever crashed, but it crashed a few times under heavy, extensive tasking. So if you take a look at this Acer right here, this is the E15 budget Acer laptop. It's a 15-inch laptop, comes in right around $500 to $600, and it offers pretty killer specs here. I mean, you get USB 3.1, you do get a discrete graphics card, although be it is a smaller graphics card. It's the GTX 950M. You do get a 256 gigabyte SSD, 8 gigs of RAM. This is expandable up to 32 gigs of RAM as well. An i5-7200U, 2.5 gigahertz with turbo boost up to 3.1 gigahertz. So dual core Intel chipset here with discrete graphics here, up to 32 gigs of RAM. So pretty much a powerhouse for this type of laptop. Also, you do get a pretty large trackpad on there, and you also get backlit keys. So if you guys are looking at 12-hour long battery life, if you guys are looking for a pretty good laptop here in a $500 price range, I can tell you to look no further than the Acer E15. It's one phenomenal deal. It has extremely good power. Now, the MacBook Pro here, this is a 2015 edition, and although the Acer does have a 7th gen Kaby Lake CPU, and this does have a, I think it's a 4th gen CPU, I'm not sure. This might be a Haswell chipset. I'm not sure exactly on that one. But this does have a quad-core HQ processor, so this is an i7, and it does have 16 gigs of RAM. Both my laptops here do have 16. I didn't expand this up to 32. I didn't find it necessary here. But what I noticed immediately when getting the MacBook is that it can definitely handle with that i7 4K while doing things in the background a little bit better than the Acer. But anything 1080p video editing was extremely well done on the Acer. Actually, the Acer can handle 4K video editing as well. It's just sometimes it's a little bit slower to render. I'm getting about 5 minutes on a render time depending on what application I'm using versus about 10 minutes to 12 minutes on a render time on an average 10-minute video clip. So definitely the i7 does improve, but what I really want to talk more about here is the value proposition you get with some cheaper PCs versus the MacBook. So in my experience, using the PC, especially with the update to Windows 10, has been pretty phenomenal. I mean, Windows back in the day, in my personal opinion, this is my journey, this is what I learned, it wasn't the greatest operating system, but since the update to Windows 10, it's been pretty good here. Now, this guy right here does have an SSD chip, or storage base, so it's pretty fast to boot up. You can see we're already in the PC. That was less than like 5 seconds, so definitely extremely fast here for the Acer laptop on the boot up. Now, one of the huge things you're going to notice that's a trade-off when you do decide to spend $2,000 on a laptop versus, $500 on a laptop is the screen. So you can see that's a matte screen. While not very reflective, the screen, the angles is not the best in the world there for that Acer over there. So you can see right there, definitely a little bit washed out. I'm sure you can see that on camera here. And you just get a sleeker design on the MacBook. But let's talk a little bit about productivity. So my productivity has definitely enhanced on the MacBook, but I wouldn't say it's enhanced by as much as I used to buy this laptop over here, meaning that if I didn't get the MacBook, I still would have been fine here on this laptop. So I think it really comes down to, it's not really what you have all the time, more like how you use what you have. So if you don't think you're going to use a MacBook Pro for heavier things like 4K video while running multiple tabs in the background, the extra power on the MacBook Pro might not be necessary. Now this $500 PC does have a budget discrete graphics card. This one does not have a discrete. This has onboard Intel graphics here, so I think they're Iris Pros. They will run games very light, maybe 720p, but you definitely can get some 1080p gaming on this guy. It's going to be a little choppy, but with that discrete graphics card, you could probably do a little bit of 1080p gaming here. But I think the real difference between the PC is the fact that you have, way more choices over the Mac when it comes to the price points, but this also makes it a little bit harder to decide. Now, what I liked about Windows is that, a lot of the programs are free. You could download things, exe files right off the internet, and pretty safe too, and things are good. Also, I do like that Windows 10 now has pretty much background updating all the time, so the software stays up to date. Mac OS also does this as well. I think Mac OS is a more simple operating system. It's been easier to use. I think anybody can, pick up on how to use a Mac pretty quickly. Let's go ahead and do this mission control here. And this is kind of like what Windows used to have, and people were complaining about it in Windows 8 when they had the Metro UI. That's kind of like what mission control is here. Well, now you can just move things over here on the taskbar. So Windows 10 has been very efficient for me. To me, it's like the workhorse though. Windows 10 to me is like it's not trying to look sexy, it's not trying to look beautiful, it's just trying to do its job. It's trying to be a functional, practical machine. Whereas the MacBook is trying to be, beautiful and be practical at the same time and easy to use. So one of the huge things that I've really enjoyed on the MacBook over, purchasing per se a PC is the Retina display. Now, most 1080p panels on Windows laptops, they're just trash next to a Retina display. A Retina display definitely comes in at over 1080p pixel resolution, and it is felt throughout. I mean, it's very easy on the eyes. You go to desktop and screensaver, you can switch to wallpaper, you can just see how beautiful this looks really quickly. Let me pull something up here. So let's get this Geico guy going. So you could just see the quality in the screen. I mean, look at his eyes right there. This is just a phenomenal screen here for the MacBook. And anybody who's doing video editing, photo editing, you're going to love what you get here for this guy over here. Now, one thing I did notice is that, the MacBook Pro, especially the i7 model, does get a little bit, loud under heavy use. So that fan in the back, or I think it ventilates right here. Actually, it ventilates right here. It does get very loud here. Now, you don't usually get backlit keyboard in this price point, but the Acer E15 at $500 actually does offer that. But what's nice about the Mac is that you have several different levels of that backlight keyboard. But I found that the first three are about the same, the second three are about the same, and the last six are about the same. It doesn't really change as much as that bar would indicate there on the MacBook. Now, the typing experience is another thing that I think is probably better suited for productivity, is this number pad right here. I wish Mac had that, but I guess they're going for a more clean design aesthetic. You can see we do have the speaker grills here on both sides of the MacBook, making it for maybe a little bit of a cleaner look here, if you ask me here. So the trackpad is another thing that the MacBook does a little bit better, actually a lot of bit better than the Windows. So Windows, while this computer right here does have a sizable trackpad, it's pretty large here. It has some nice chrome around the edges. I think Mac has definitely been the king when it comes to the trackpad. Now, I've also noticed that, iMovie doesn't crash as much as Movie Maker. I use Movie Maker here on this guy. I know they discontinued it, but you can still get it, online in some places. So I've been using Movie Maker on this for a long time, as well as Adobe Elements, and it runs both of those pretty well, but iMovie on here just runs extremely well. It never crashes. I mean, it's super reliable. You can stretch the screen all the way out so you're not distracted by nothing else. And overall, I think the MacBook might be a little bit better for content creators overall. But that's not to say that if you do love Adobe that the Windows can't be. That's just my personal experience. You might differ. But what's another difference between a $500 and a $2,000 laptop? Well, the battery life. The battery life on the Acer, while claims to be 12 hours long, is more like 6 to 7. Now, the MacBook is definitely going to be a lot better than that. It could easily get you through a day. I'm getting like 8 to 9 hours on the MacBook. But if I am doing heavy stuff, the MacBook dips down. So either one of these doing heavy stuff loses about 40%. So if you're doing heavy stuff on either of these, you're going to lose a lot of battery life, meaning you're running iMovie, you're running Final Cut, you're running Photoshop, any of those things for a long time, they're going to dip down here. Now, one of the main differences too is build quality. I mean, the build quality is unmatched, when you're paying $2,000 for a computer versus $500. I mean, this is plastic. And one of the things I notice all the time is this reassuring metal right here on the Mac definitely feels good in day-to-day use. It reminds you all the time that you're using a premium computer here. Also, I don't really like the fact that a lot of Windows don't get this hinge design right. It seems like a lot of Windows laptops, I'm not talking about the Spectre and Dell XPS and laptops like that, those got it under control, but a lot of Windows laptops have these little ugly like hinges on them, and I think that's just a nasty design. That's just my take. The MacBook brings this clean hinge right here. It's not in your way. It doesn't distract you. I mean, that didn't really distract me, but it's just, I don't like looking at it. It's an eyesore to me. Also, there's no MacBook Pro logo on this one, but this is the 15-inch. And what else can we talk about here? Well, that's, pretty much it in my experience, honestly. Weight-wise, the MacBook's a pretty decently heavy laptop, just like this Acer right here. And I'll turn these over to the side. Ports. We can talk about ports as well. This is the Legacy MacBook 2015, so it has all the ports. I'm not going to go over all of them. Over here, I got pretty much all the ports and USB-C. But the moral of this video, or basically what I'm trying to get at in this video, is if you're in the market for a budget laptop or a $2,000 laptop, you really got to assess your needs. I do believe if you're a content creator, if you're a business owner and you do a lot of stuff on your laptop, like you're glued to your laptop doing a lot of things for running your business and everything on your laptop, I think the MacBook is the better choice, just because it's a hassle-free experience. I mean, you turn it on, you get work done, and it's very reliable. It doesn't crash that often. And musicians, I think the MacBook has better music software as well. Now, the Windows laptop is good for people who just want a practical, very good, very fast computer that, they don't need all this extra stuff. They're not content creators and things like that. Although I'm not trying to bash Windows. I'm not trying to say you can't create content. I created content for over 2 years on Windows, so definitely good. But I do believe I'm more efficient so far on the Mac side of things. I also think the Windows laptop is great for those of you who are going to college, trying to get your son or daughter or somebody a college graduation gift, and your budget for a laptop is like $600. You can really swing some good deals here on the Windows side of things, where the Mac is pretty much out of reach in those ranges. So that's pretty much my $500 versus $2,000 MacBook Pro video. Like I say, these two laptops are both incredible. Is the $2,000 price point justified on a MacBook? Well, it comes down to your needs. For my needs, definitely is. For, most people's needs who aren't doing content creation, over the top work, definitely I would say just go with a lower price point MacBook if you can. If you don't want that, go with the Windows laptop. I'm not against Windows. I love Windows. As a matter of fact, just because I bought a Mac doesn't mean I'm staying with Mac. I'm not like that. I'm not that kind of person. If I see a nice Windows laptop I will switch right back to Windows. So both are great. I think Mac is probably a little bit more efficient for 4K video editing with this optimized efficient video editing software like Final Cut X, as well as iMovie, which I know a lot of people think iMovie is trash, but to me it's running great. It renders 10-minute videos in 5 minutes. It never crashes, so iMovie is good for me on here as well. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, click the like button for me. Let me know any video comparisons you want to see based on laptops. If you want to see this comparison between these two, like more of a comparison, like read-write speeds, boot up times, you actually want to see the E15 versus the MacBook, drop that down below. I'll leave links to both of these laptops in the description as well. Subscribe to the channel for more tech videos like this. Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and peace. And by the way, this video was edited on this Acer E15 right here.